Okay, so Christmas decorating, you know what this is? Garland that's going to go on my staircase. However, do you see this? This is called, last year these lights worked, but this year they don't. This is also what I call Satan. I think the Christmas lights, these little tiny Christmas lights, they're Satan's way of making sure that the Christmas holidays suck. So here's what I do. I actually take them off and I throw them away. I'm not going to look for the missing bulb. You know how many hours you can spend during the month of November and December looking for that one bulb that's not working? I don't go there. I get new lights. These things are so inexpensive. They're seriously a couple bucks for another 100 lights. I just take these off, put the new ones on, and I'm good to go. Don't let Satan get you during the holidays. So here are some practical tips on doing your garland on your staircase. When I take my garland off every year, I use like a little sticker, and I write in here where this goes. Mine happens to say lower staircase garland. Now let me just show you this. I had these installed in my home because I knew that every year I was going to want to do Christmas lights and Christmas garland on my staircase. So I have outlets on this wall and one at the top of the staircase over there, so that every year, bang, I just plug it right in here. I don't have a bunch of cords all over the place, and it works out great. Next thing, I use these twisty tie things that they're made out of like Christmas tree stuff. And that's what I tie these on with. For my staircase, I do something a little different in that I don't just make it go straight down like on top. I actually sort of swag it. So let me show you what I'm talking about. This would come up here. I have a soft bend here in a place where it kind of hangs on this part, and it swags to this side. And then it comes over and it swags on this side. Tie it. Now remember, you're going to fluff this whole thing up when you're done. Sometimes I just use the actual little branches themselves to tie it on. So you kind of get your basic shape first. Remember I told you one of my pet peeves is tags on cords. So I'm opening up new lights. I'm going to take those tags off. Don't worry, I just throw everything on the ground and clean up afterwards. That's what creative people do, I think. So what I do is I find kind of the middle of my garland, and I start at the 50% mark, and I go each direction. Instead of starting at one end, because that's how you get like hardly any lights up there and a bunch at the end because you ran out or whatever. Start in the middle and work your way down. Number one, always check to be sure all the lights work before you take the time to put them on your garland, and they do. So this is where I'm going to put my 50 mark, and I'm just going to go like this and twist that just so I know where it is. Then I'm going to take this and I'm going to loosely place it on my garland. You see? Because what I'm trying to do right now is make it even. So if I loosely place it, I know that I've taken it out enough to be fair and even with it. Okay? And then you do the other half the same way. So the next step in your garland is to take your lights and weave them in and out of the garland, as well as fluffing out the garland so that you straighten out every one of those branches, just like we did on the Christmas tree. You don't want your cords to show, so you just kind of weave it in and around. Make sure you go under, especially when you stop to think that this is going to be viewed mostly from the underside. You're going to be looking up at it. You want to make sure your lights are heavier on the bottom than they are on the top. Yeah, now remember, you don't have to be 100% particular about it, because you still have ribbons to put in here, some ornaments, some greens, and some picks. So even if you made this perfect right now, probably would be unnecessary because you're going to be changing it around as you go. Also, on this side, when I bring this around, because that is the side you're going to view this on mostly, I'm going to make sure that the lights even go underneath instead of just on the top over here, so that this thing is lit consistently for the viewer on that side. And when I'm done, I'll come down and check and make sure it all looks right. A couple other really good tips. One is, I bought this at the floral supply place. It's basically a wired stuff, you know. It's like a twisty tie, only it's covered in the little same green pines that you have for a Christmas tree. You just cut it in pieces that are the size you want, and you can use it to tie it on to your railing or whatever you need. Anything that you'd use wire or twisty ties to, so it works great. Oh, by the way, you may notice here that I changed my garland. After I got the other stuff up that I was using, I decided it was too traditional for this year since we're doing the California coastal look. So I changed to something that's more avant-garde, has a more natural looking leaf to it, pine needles or whatever these things are called, the green stuff. And so when I put my lights through, what I do is I keep my lights plugged in. Do not put your lights in when they're not plugged in, because if by chance one of these lights goes out, which they do all the time, if you're working with this while the lights are on, you can fix the one. You know where it is, or kind of where it is. But if you put all your lights on and they're off, you put them all on your thing, you plug them in, and they don't work, guess what? Satan. You gotta go through the entire string of 100 to find that one bulb. I have a bunch of different types of garland. Here's one that has actual pine cones in it, and it looks really, really like a spruce, I guess. You know, some of you people who live in Oregon and stuff will probably laugh at me because I don't really know what kind of greens these are, but you probably do. Anyway, they're artificial here, but this kind of thing can also be wound in and through this, and it makes it look even more natural. So I will be winding some more things in and making it look natural and beautiful and lush and full. But this is sort of our bare bones where we start. Okay, so are you ready to start making it look pretty here? So we have our greens, we have some lights running through it. Now I'm going to start putting the pretty stuff in. These are some extra little greens that have the sparkly stuff. My skylight is really shining in now, isn't it? Hey, we're in California. It's 100 degrees today on November 4th. All right, I would probably take this guy and I would take them right here to the center part where this flat thing is and make this sort of a pretty point. Tie this in. You just use the greens that are already here. This would also look really good with some artificial curly willow or twigs. Remember on my tree I used the twigs that went all the way around. So I would put this in, weave this into my trunk, so to speak, of garland, and start pulling this in and around. You know what, it's really simple how you just sort of kind of pull it. I think people they try too hard to make it perfect, and it doesn't need to be. It just needs to be kind of natural and free form looking. So I might take this, bring it down here. And then you know what would look really cute here? Would be a bird for my very natural look. Okay, so if you're going to wind up your lights, you don't want to wind them like this. Okay, you want to do it like this. This keeps them really nice and neat and orderly. Put one at this end and one here, and you just basically go from light to light to light, so that you end up with lights at both ends and nothing but cords in the middle. You've got all your orange and red lights on this end, and I have the purple and green on this end. Okay?